Dear students, in our last lecture in the modern pharmaceutics, in the topic drug excipient and interaction, we discuss about the pre-formulation study. What is the meaning of the pre-formulation? Then what are the physicochemical properties to be considered in that pre-formulation? Then how to select the dosage form? What are the criteria for the selection of the dosage form? Then what are the criteria for the selection of the excipient, requirement of the excipients? How we choose the excipient depending upon that quality of the API that we had discussed. So uh, uh, it is very important to make a stable dosage form, and for that reason only we do this drug excipient interaction, and this excipient and all these things are stable in a solid form. But when we make it in a administrative form, like maybe in the liquid or in some semi-solid preparation, there may be increase in the interaction due to increase in the some oxidation reduction or some hydrolysis reaction. So it is very essential to study such types of interactions. Therefore, we design that dosage form in such a way that there is no interaction with that excipient and that drug. When we talk about this API and excipients, likelihood there is chance of physical and chemical interaction that we have to detect because it had the negative impact on the quality of the drug. Maybe when we talk about the quality, quality means the physical or chemical properties or the stability of the drug. When we talk about the stability, say if that excipient is mixed, so the pure drug had the half-life of say 5 years, but while mixing it may be reduced to the 1 year or 6 months due to the hydrolysis, oxidation, or any other chemical reaction. So the choice of that particular excipient we are using is very important, okay, to avoid the negative effect of that excipient over the drug. And um, so this development of new dosage form is very important, and it is a choice of that excipient, selection of choice of excipient is a robust process, and it is very effective process. So when we talk about this drug excipient if compatibility, there may be the physical incompatibility, there may be the chemical incompatibility, there may be the therapeutic incompatibility, and they are we can say that they are divided into the physical, chemical, and therapeutic. So when we talk about this physical compatibility, it in therapeutic incompatibility, it assesses the interaction which are observed after administration of the medication. Means biopharmaceutical interactions are there. There may be premature breakdown of enteric coat, interaction due to adjacent therapy, and increase in GI motility. So these are some therapeutic incompatibility. Why there is increase in the motility? Maybe some excipients or some um, substances are there which improves the motility. So it will remove the drug faster, so less absorption is there. If there is breakdown of enteric coat or there is some adjacent therapy is there, so we are taking two drugs and that two drugs are interacting with each other, we can say that there is the therapeutic incompatibility and we have to avoid such types of incompatibility. So physical incompatibility, chemical incompatibility and therapeutic incompatibility. Then we discuss about the various natures or the types of the incompatibility. Then how to identify, how to evaluate this excipient, drug excipient incompatibility or compatibilities. There is incompatibilities. How to evaluate? So there are certain methods are there. In that method, when we talk about the physical method, so color or odor or some related taste are there. From such types of taste, it is not possible for us to check the incompatibility, because we already say that the if the excipient is of white and drug is of yellow color, so when we mix it, it will give the pale yellow color. Means there is we can't say or predict that there is incompatibility. So right, because there is just change in the color, and this color may be due to the white mixing of the white and the yellow, so there is the pale yellow color. So we can't say that this physical interaction or this just a mixing is a uh, final made that procedure for the identification of incompatibility. So for this reason, we go for some analytical techniques, some chemical and mixture of chemical and physical test. So that's why the changes can be occurred. So when these drug excipient compatibility study are carried out with an intent to identify, quantify, and predict potential interactions, along with an impact of this interaction on the manufacturing ability, quality, and performance of the finding drug products. These studies are typically based on the prior knowledge regarding the physicochemical properties and the degradation mechanism of drug and excipient. So we know that somewhere mentioned in the literature that there may be the interaction if we use this drug with this excipient, and there are some mechanism is also mentioned that how they get degraded or how they get reacted. So based upon that, we do this stability or this incompatibility studies. So in this mixture, in this study we generally mix API and drug in a 1:1 mixture, or if that mix, if we are having the formula, say our formula is mentioned in our record or in our batch manufacturing record, so we will take that excipient and drug in that proportion, and we go for such types of studies. So this depends upon us that which combination we have to take, or what with the ratio, either 1:1 or the that our dosage form process. So the physicochemical and performance attributes of the API and the excipients are then evaluated using one or more analytical technique by mixing it, and then we use analytical technique. In that analytical technique, when we discuss, the number one is the thermal method of analysis is there. In this thermal method itself name indicate, here we use the thermal, means here we use the energy, or here we use the heat to detect the incompatibility or the interaction between the drug and the excipient. So the number one method is the DSC, that is the differential scanning colorimetry. Uh, this in this DSC, uh, we initially take the curves of the excipients and drugs individually. We mix it in a 1:1 ratio, that is the physical mixture. Then again we take the DSC curve of the mixture. This mixture may be your liquid or liquid solid, or solid and liquid is there, or your final product may be the tablet mixture, maybe the capsule mixture, or maybe your emulsion or suspension mixtures are there. So this may be the final product, and initial product is individually we take the drug excipient and we take its DSC. If we compare the physical mixtures of the final products DSC with that of DSC of individual drug and excipient, then we came to know that is there any significant shift in the melting endotherm of our drug or the excipient. If there is no change in the melting endotherm, we can say that there is no drug excipient interaction. At the same time, if there is some change in the melting endotherm, or we get a peak at new space than the required space or at required temperature, so we can say that there may be the drug excipient interaction. When we talk about this drug excipient interaction, so that excipient drug interaction may be of many times. Sometimes it is desirable because whenever there is encapsulation, means when we are encapsulating some drug, or when we mixing it and then we are converting into the another form, this shifting may be there, or it may be it can be say that this will help us to check the some formation of new products or the new derivatives likewise. So this is again the very important techniques, that is the DSC. And there is one example. These are the DSC curve. So initially when we take the drug DSC curve of plain drug, that is the lamivudine. So it is around somewhat 180 degrees Celsius. Then the second is of individual curve of the cholesterol at around 150 degrees Celsius. And second one C, there are the two curves. Uh, Phospholipid 90H. So here it is at around 50 degrees, 70 degrees Celsius, and here it is around 82 degrees Celsius. And uh, this is the final drug product. In that final product, this is actually the graph of the liposome. So here we can say that there is the shift in the endotherm. See, first our drug 178 degrees Celsius is there. Then in the liposomal form, the shift is at around 210 degrees Celsius. At the same time, see the sharpness of the drug curve and see the broadening and a small curve for the drug. So these two curve indicate that there is interaction between the excipient, and these are two excipient and the drug. And sometimes this uh, change in the place or change in the pattern itself indicate that there is some encapsulation, or there is some decrease in the amorphous crystallinity of our drug, or there is formation of amorphous form of the drug, and there is encapsulation of the drug. Due to that encapsulation, the shifting and there is the broadening of peak is observed. Same here, again due to that interaction, here we got a peak at around 150, but here we again see the peak is broad, so here peak is narrow. Okay, so it starts from around 112, and it ends around 150, 140, and the sharp peak is got at 130. Here we got a sharp peak at around uh, 144. So again there is changes is occurred. Same with these phospholipids, there is the shifting is there. Okay, there is the shifting of the peak. Due to the shifting of the peak, we can say that there is much more interaction with this lipid part. Phospholipid 90H is the lipid, cholesterol is the lipid. When the lipid is get heated, it shifts its position, and also that drug get incorporated into that lipid membrane, and we get a different peak than the expected one. So this is the example of DSC curve. From this example, you will, I assure that you will get the details about this DSC, how it works. Then the next in this is the thermogravimetric analysis. When we talk about this TGA, thermogravimetric analysis, it works like that, like with that DSC, and it gives the same result. Next is one is the isothermal microcalorimetry. In this isothermal microcalorimetry, it allows the determination of mixture of amounts of evolved or absorbed heat. Here we measure the amount of evolved or absorbed heat, the thermal activity of the API, excipient, and then mixtures are measured individually in the colorimeter, and the thermal activity at a constant temperature is maintained. At the same time, when we take a physical mixture, again we go for the same process, and from that same process we get some curve. We match that curve with the individual curve, and we can say that whether there is interaction or there is no interaction. So this is the isothermal microcalorimetry. Next one is the hot stage microscopy. When we talk about this high stage microscopy, the word itself indicates there is the in that microscope arrangement is there that that stage get heated, means where the sample is placed, sample get heated. So ultimately here we heat the sample, and after heating that sample we check the changes in the structure or the crystallinity or the appearance. Here we can say the appearance of the our sample or the our product or our API or our drug. So it is a visual thermal analysis technique. It allows efficient monitoring of solid state interaction that could be erroneously interpreted as incompatibility by DSC. So here what we go, it allows efficient monitoring of solid state interactions that could be erroneously interpreted as incompatibility by the DSC. This technique only requires very small quantity of sample. This is one major advantage while performing the compatibility study. The next one is the isothermal microcalorimetry. We also discussed this hot stage microscopy. Very small sample component is required. Then the next one is the spectrophotometric technique. In this spectrophotometric technique, we generally call it as the non-thermal technique. They are generally of two ways: vibrational spectroscopy and powder X-ray diffraction spectroscopy. When we talk about the spectroscopic technology, we are very well um, uh, interacted with that or know with that UV visible spectrophotometry or the FTIR. IR is we generally say it as a IR. So FTIR spectroscopy is there. Then the Raman spectroscopy is there. Then the DRS, diffuse reflectance spectroscopy, is there. So in this vibrational spectroscopy, we get the graphs and we compare the individual graphs. Say the drug of ibuprofen is there, we take the graph of the ibuprofen. Then avicel is the excipient, then we take the graph of the avicel, and then we mix this avicel and the ibuprofen, and then again we take the graph. So we then we match that graph with for the presence of major functional group, and if there is all the present functional groups are present in the mixture, we can say that there is no interaction. So very simple process is there using FTIR, Raman, or diffuse reflectance spectroscopy. In this powder X-ray diffraction, PXID is of great help for the compatibility study during the process like the compression, weight granulation, etc. So changes in the crystallinity, amorphosinity, or the polymorphic form of the API in the presence of excipient is noted in this PXRD, that is the powder X-ray diffraction. So generally in that XRD, what happened if we get a physical mixture or some chemical mixture or some final products, and we take its XRD. Initially we take the XRD of the pure drug and the excipient, our XRD of our excipient, and if there is some we found the peaks, and in the physical mixture or the final product graph we doesn't found the peaks, so we can say that there is a change in the crystallinity of the drug, means initially that drug was crystalline because there are peaks, and in later phase there is no peaks are there or very small peaks are there, so we can say that drug is converted into the amorphous form. So this is again the important thing or the important identification for that particular drug. We use that X-ray diffraction technique. Next one is the solid state nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy. In this SSNMR uh, has shown immense potential in the qualitative and quantitative analysis of pharmaceutical solids. It has a unique advantages for detecting compatibility in crystalline as well as amorphous component in the mixture. Then there are some microscopic techniques are there. Uh, so in this solid state nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy, that is SSNMR, here potential and quantitative and qualitative analysis is carried out. So